Welcome back, brothers and sisters, as we continue our journey through the book of John. And today we're in John chapter 2, verses 11 to 12, which I have titled, Far Greater to Come. This, the first of his signs, Jesus did at Cana in Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he went down to Capernaum with his mother and his brothers and his disciples, and he stayed there for a few days. Let us begin by looking at a commentary by D.A. Carson in his book, the New Pillar Testament Commentary Series, the Gospel of John. John begins the account close by an inclusio, a literary device that envelops a section by repeating something at the end of the section that has already been used at the beginning. In this instance, Cana of Galilee, as in chapter 2 verse 1 and 11. This was the first of his miraculous signs. On the enumeration of the first two signs and its alleged significance for the sign's source. The word for first in Greek arche can also mean primary. It is just possible that John is saying that this first sign is also primary, because it points to the new dispensation of grace and fulfillment that Jesus is inaugurating. It may also hint at a new creation theme. The use of the word, John chapter 1 verse 1, in the beginning was the Word. The New Testament uses several words to denote what we call miracles. One of the most common, in Greek daimeis, which means mighty works, is not found in the book of John. Another word, sarara, in Greek, which means wonders, is found only when linked with the word in Greek semeia, which means signs, as in signs and wonders. But this combination is found only once in the fourth Gospel, in chapter 4 verse 48. John prefers the simple word signs. Jesus' miracles are never simply naked displays of power, still less neat conjuring tricks to impress the masses, but signs, significant displays of power that point beyond themselves to the deeper realities that could be perceived with the eyes of faith. Jesus himself in this gospel refers to his miracles and to his other activity as his work or works. But the first sign, Jesus revealed his glory, the glory of the one and only who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. His glory would be revealed in the greatest measure in his cross, resurrection, and exaltation. However, every step along his course of his ministry was an adumbration of that glory. The glory was not visible to all who had seen the miracle. The glory cannot be identified with the miraculous display. The servants saw the sign, but not the glory. The disciples by faith perceived Jesus' glory behind the sign, and they put their faith in him. Some hold that John has a scheme of 7 signs, culminating in the resurrection of Lazarus. Others link the feeding of the 5,000 and the walking on the water in John chapter 6 as one sign, making the 7th the resurrection of Jesus himself. Because John does not specifically label all the miracles as signs, it is hard to be certain that John intended either outline. What is clear is that the first sign is linked with the summary statement of the purpose of the book in John chapter 20 verses 30 and 31, where John writes, "Now Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book, but these are written so that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name." In both places, the disciples saw and believed. The time would come when blessings would be pronounced on new generations of followers who could not possibly see these events, but who have nevertheless believed and seen something of the glory of the Son of God. In verse 12, John begins with "after this." Is a frequent connective between narratives used in the book of John. In John chapter 2 verse 12 and 3 verse 22, chapter 5 verse 1 and 14, and so on, and in no indication of the length of the interval between two events. On the other hand, the synoptics also place this move of Jesus and his family from Nazareth to Capernaum at the beginning of his recorded ministry, as revealed in Matthew chapter 4 verse 13, Luke chapter 4 verse 31, and here in John chapter 6 verse 24 and 59. Capernaum, probably a transliteration of Capernaum, or the village of Nahum, lay on the northwest shore of Galilee, about 16 miles northeast of Cana. So travelers literally went down from Capernaum. That Jesus and his family stayed only a few days suggests that it was not too long before it was time to leave to celebrate the Jewish Passover in Jerusalem, in John chapter 2 verse 13. The disciples are probably those mentioned in John chapter 1. The brothers of Jesus are probably his half-brothers, children of Joseph and Mary, and all younger than he was. When we observe the chronological aspects of this significant event, we realize that the sign or miracles had a specific intent. As Carson continues to outlay, only a few people were privy to this event. Firstly, the servants, his mother, and finally his disciples. There is a revealed purpose towards revealing Jesus' divinity and acting specifically to the disciples' witnessing. It reinforces the narrative in John chapter 1 where witnessing was specific to John, which was then revealed to the Baptist's followers, who in turn are now standing witness to Jesus' first signs or miracles. It stands to show the disciples for what is far greater to come in Jesus' ministry, which is revealed in John chapter 5 verse 20. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he himself is doing. And greater works than these will he show him, so that you may marvel. Many have asked the evidential truth that supports Jesus' existence and why he came at that specific time and place. Now imagine if this event took place today. Imagine what would happen if you watched it on your Facebook or Twitter. Would you believe it? Imagine if it happened during the time of Moses. Would you even hear about it, since the witnesses were only a selected few? This particular event portrays great significance because it presents the beginning of Jesus' ministry and the outreach he brings to the Logos, Pathos, and Ethos to all who would believe. As Christians today, we are presented with a well-documented itinerary of divine events that outlines the story that leads to the climax on the cross, but onwards towards the continual personification of scriptural reliability and prophetic revelation of his death and resurrection. No matter whatever the attempts we try to deny Jesus, the ultimate result is that the denial, if only held by our own, can never alter the reality of the evidence and the truth. The world today redefines the reality of humanity by allowing the elimination of our own selves. He, she, him, her have become unacceptable societal accordances. Some countries are advocating the elimination of gender identification of even the mother and father. The irony of the changing world is a mirror of idolatry and immoral behavior thousands of years ago. The only difference is the magnitude based on the world population. The ratios remain the same, but as the world population explodes, humanity will subsequently implode as it is already revealed in the first chapters of the end of days. How many of us are willing to continue placing ourselves above God and live a life with no accountability? Sooner or later, whatever worldview you adhere to, accountability is the doorway you have to walk through to continue your journey onwards. Whereas Jesus Christ has become our advocate and guarantee to our next step forward. Are you willing to forgo that grace and gift of His sacrifice to satisfy your own egos and self-righteous existence? Then be ready to pay the ultimate price when your reckoning befalls you. It's never too late. Thank you, and God bless.